So this will be a little bit of a different video. I'm going through and taking down my Star Wars shelf, and actually someone mentioned doing a tour, so this is kind of that. I've taken down some of the sets already. Slave One, a really awesome old B-Wing. I think it's the best one. I like the older ones. I think the size is a little more accurate. The Bad Batch shuttle, which I took apart recently. Mandalorian Starfighter. And the Mandalorian AT-ST Raider. Oh, and this little guy. It's not really as big as the other ones, but I really like this little, like, police stormtrooper set. Zam Wessel over here. I don't know. Oh yeah, there it is. Bounty Hunter Pursuit set, which is over there because it's going to be in another video. Got a Hondo. I didn't take this one apart because I think I'm just going to sell it or get rid of it. It's the quad jumper from Force Awakens. So I gave it to him because I don't have his pirate ship set, but it's just taking up room. There's the Rock Raiders because I'm working on the Rock Raiders set. Moving on to the shelf. We have the original Slave One. I do not have the original Jango Fett. I have his helmet, but I got this at a consignment store for 20 bucks. It was missing about a third of it. Still a good price. I brick-linked the rest. There's nothing that was super rare that was missing from it, so that was a good deal. This Razor Crest, which is one of the only sets I've ever paid more than $100 for, and I don't regret it. It's actually gone up in price on the Lego store since it was released. They jacked it up another $10, I think, which is stupid, but whatever. I guess people still buy it, so they'll do it. Here is my gunship. I pieced this together similar to the way I pieced together the Queen Anne's Revenge. This is my favorite gunship just because I like the decal there. I think it's the Clone Wars one. And I like you can open the side here and have Anakin and the clones standing in there like they did often in the show. Then we have the Ghost. So, oh, and there's a Phantom on the back too. The Phantom I got for Christmas before I even knew what the show Rebels was, and I was like, what's this weird looking little set? So I'm glad I got that. The Ghost I got after it had been released. It was an incomplete set on Bricklink for $66, but it had all the minifigs including Zeb. So the windshield here was the wrong print. And I looked it up and it was the print for the Rogue One set. It had the wrong size of this. I mentioned that to a Lego friend of mine, and this piece, I think at that point, had only come in this set and an architecture set, and he got the architecture set and it came with two of these. I think by accident. They were like squished together inside the box. So he gave me the extra one he had. So that worked out nicely. Really cool set. I think some of the pieces I have are wrong, but you can't tell from looking at it. Definitely one of my prize pieces. Back there we have the Razor Crest Hot Rod. I mean, Naboo Starfighter. And I built that and I didn't like it at all. It was super flimsy. This was wobbly and I didn't like it at all. And then I saw this YouTube video that I'll link of this guy who just did some basic changes and it made it a whole lot better, including the cockpit opens by sliding now too, which is really cool. Pretty cool set if you modify it. Not that great if you keep it the way they intended. So after I realized I had a unique piece from the Rogue One, and after I played Rogue One, Force Unleashed, I decided to build this one. And this was another one I pieced together a long time ago. This is one of my favorite Star Wars sets. Yeah, you can see I have the two different kinds of gray, because that doesn't really bother me that much, especially with ships that are supposed to be old and worn and used a lot. I love the asymmetry of it, as I've said in other videos. It's got all these like hidden compartments. I made my own Juno Eclipse. I think the real Juno Eclipse looks kind of dumb. The face is so weird with the hair printed. And then I ordered this Rancor from China and painted it like the Battle Rancors. There's my Star Killer fig. Little Rock Raiders torso and the bandana. I think it looks pretty cool. I just used some nail polish. Speaking of video game sets, here we have, can I do this without destroying it? Here we have the Outrider from cool. From Shadows of the Empire for Nintendo 64 and PC. I bought an incomplete Falcon off eBay and then just modified it. And there were these schematics for the Outrider I found, and I went by them. So the biggest differences are obviously the cockpit extending over here instead of being on the side. It doesn't have the two, whatever those things are. Cannons on the top and bottom, dual cannons, not a single quad cannon. Oh, here's a swoop bike that's missing the front, which you play in the game with. This is Lebo. There's a little droid. It's a droid that only really shows up, as far as I know, in the game. The closest thing Lego had was a medical droid, so that's what I used. Darn, I don't see. I have a Dash Rendar somewhere. Oh, there he is. Another Rock Raiders torso. He has a jetpack. I thought this looked closer to the giant jetpack he had in the game, which is why I didn't use one of the Mandalorian jetpacks. Side note, I love the Bionicle Hyperdrive and the label that says Hyperdrive. Right there, you walk up the little ramp, and then you close it, and then you fly off into space. Continuing the custom video games, this is another one I made a video about. It is the Stinger Mantis from Jedi Fallen Order. This one I found instructions for on Bricklink, and it was just it was perfectly in scale for what I wanted, and it looked great. I love ships that break up the monotonous gray color on the shelf. It was kind of a chore to put together, but I got some figures, which I've added. BD1 and what's his name, and then what's her name, seventh sister, I think, maybe, possibly. And then I recently got, what's his name? I wish I could remember any of their names. Oh, Cal Kestis. I don't think is it the second sister? Either second or seventh, I forget. And then this is, I forget who that is, but he's got 4 arms, which is the important part. His face is really tough too, because he's got a giant kind of football head, so there's nothing that really matches him in the Star Wars figure realm. That'll definitely stay together. I will probably never take this apart because I don't ever want to put it back together again. If it gets to the point where I want to take it apart, I'll just sell it. This is a really cool set from Clone Wars. I think this ship probably got a total of like 3 minutes of screen time between 2 episodes, and one it was just sitting there, and one it was flying around for a second. It belongs to some bounty hunters. It's the one Embo came in, and Aura Singh, and 1 or 2 others that aren't as cool looking. I really like it. It's got a cool decal on the side, which opens up in this cool manner. The top opens. The bottom's supposed to be like a holding cell, and then that's obviously the cockpit. It has this really cool function where you slide this, zoop, and then it just feels really satisfying to do that. And I love how it's balanced with the giant head and then the small tail that you can grab onto it by. Also from Clone Wars, we have this it's another bounty hunter ship actually. It's when Obi-Wan disguised himself as a bounty hunter and teamed up with Cad Bane, which was a really cool story in that show. But when I saw it, I loved the color scheme. Again, it looks so weird. There's no other ship like this with the dark tan and lime green colors. That's just really cool. So that's why I got it. It's not super rare or anything, or at least I don't think it is, but I like it. And then there's my Falcon. That was the one I liked the best. I don't need to pull that down. Everyone knows what a Falcon is. It's a bird. So yeah, over here I got my Sandcrawler. I had it set up to be the scene from Mandalorian with Grogu following behind on his little pod thing, but I've since taken that down. There's the Queen Anne's Revenge I just did the video on. And this is what I want to do with these. I want to turn this into a ship shelf instead of a Star Wars shelf. I know this is minimum editing and just kind of me talking without a script, so hopefully it was enjoyable. If it was, I can do some more because I have other stuff set up. Well, that makes my decision easier. So long, Outrider.